What's up, guys? We're here at the 717 Real Estate Podcast with my man here, Matthew Toth.
What's up, guys? How you doing?
Super excited today, and let's just get into it. Why don't we? So, so Matthew, you honestly inspired me in the beginning of my career, like early stage, when I went to my first investor meetup or first mixer, and you just told you came up to me like you were super excited. You were like, dude, you gotta go talk to people. Like, what are you doing sitting here? I was super like anxious, and I didn't know what to do at all. And like you actually sparked me because that investor meetup like gave me so many connections. I was like, whoa, like this stuff like really works, and
That's
I
funny.
give you props for that.
That's funny, man. I remember that I think we were up in Harrisburg.
Yeah,
Yeah,
for
and
the commercial.
I saw you sitting over there, and you were just kind of standing there. And I think we like noticed each other at probably one of Integrity's events or something like that. And I like rolled over to Carter, and he's like, "Bro, I like don't even know what to do. Like, how do you do these things?" And I was like, "Man, yeah, I know. It's like a room full of 200 people, and you're kind of like." Where do I even begin? And I think the only advice I gave you at that time was just just go up and have conversations with people.
Yeah, and dude, it was so awkward. Like I didn't know how to talk at all at that point in my career, so I just went up to each vendor and I started talking to them, and then the conversation died in like 5 seconds.
What'd you talk to him about? What was the starter?
I just went up to him. I was like, "So what do you guys do?"
Carter, what do you do? No, it can be awkward though, and you know what's cool though? Like I've seen you grow so much. Like I used to be in charge of having events here for Integrity First, which is like really full circle moment for me right now because I don't work for Eric Brewer anymore, but here I am in his building with I was just like walk in and I see his receptionist down there and I give her a big hug and this is cool. But I see you like you were like one of the ones that you weren't afraid to ask questions. Um, when we would have our events, you were like the first person to raise your hand, the first person to get the crowd started, because everyone has questions, right? But most of the time, people were just nervous and they don't want to ask them.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like exactly everyone's like quiet. They don't want to like raise their hand because I mean, even inside my head, I'm like, dude, I could say this and it could sound really stupid.
Yeah,
But like, I don't know. I feel like like pressure builds diamonds, and that's why I just like, okay, I'm just gonna do it. And then I end up just saying whatever comes out of my mind. I don't even think about it. I just spit out some words, and that's my question for the day. And I mean, it worked out well so far. So
yeah. Well, you know what? I had the honor of doing it was it was a media, it was an advanced journalism um, uh, project for Elizabethtown College. I literally just came from there. So you had college kids that brought their video equipment and they'd set up their little tripods and it was cool. Like they interviewed me on just my like journey through addiction and what my recovery looks like. And I said to them in the interview, I was like, they said, what was a turning point for you in your recovery? And I said, hmm, I'm like, well, it was probably when I had the realization that I needed to hang out in rooms where people were a lot smarter than me. You know what I mean? Like I was everyone plateaus, they reach a certain point where it could be in fitness, it could be in, athletics, sports, even business. Like you get to a point where you feel like you hit a plateau. And I was like that in my life and I was like, well, what do I got to do to get out of this? And I read a quote that if you're the smartest person in the room, then you're hanging out in the wrong rooms, you know? So
absolutely, that's what I find like very motivational because like as a young person, I don't know anything. So pretty much every room that I go into, I'm not the smartest person in the room at all, and I just like I find it inspirational being around all these experienced people like yourself. Like I'm so happy that I got to meet you, dude, because you've been a huge like help in my career. Like always meeting new people, always being a friendly face to go towards,
I
and
appreciate
I,
that,
I
brother.
love the story that you stand for, even because like it shows like people like people feel often feel comfortable in their situation when they go day to day, and like you are able to change. Like you are a perfect example. Like you are able to change, and now look like how much happy you are, like standing for a story, like providing this great message to college students. Like that type of stuff is just empowering to even me and the people around. And I found excitement to be here today talking to you.
I appreciate that, man.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I feel like going into rooms where people have more experience and know more than you is like the best thing. Like going to investment meetups and this podcast in general, talking to people that gone the way I want to go in real estate, had experiences way farther in life that I've had, teaches me so much more than just I don't know, like going through like maybe school or just going through the motions trying to do it by myself instead of learning from people like
Yeah,
yourself.
yeah. There was you said something that reminded me of one of my favorite quotes, that the man who thinks he knows everything knows nothing.
Dude, it doesn't matter what the subject is. Like, there's no way you know everything. Like, there's you can water, for example. Like, you tell me you know every single thing about water. Like, there's just so many different
Yeah.
subtopics. Like, you're telling me you have nothing to learn in life.
Yeah,
Right.
I feel that the smartest people like know and understand that they don't know everything, and people that think they know everything tend to I don't want to say it, but aren't the smartest people.
Yeah, exactly. But like you said, I inspired you, Carter. I mean, like I've been surrounded by so many people that have inspired me. I mean, like it was a short 8 years ago that, like, a lot of people don't know this, but I literally was like unemployable. Like no one would hire me. Not even would no one hire me, but I wasn't physically or mentally capable of working or holding a job.
So
Dude,
like bringing up the topic of addiction, like I don't want to step on any toes, but like what like started out the addiction to get you to that point where you were almost unemployable?
it it took a while to get to that point, but I mean, for me, it was like any other. I don't know. I For me, it started out with the first drink. I guess I look back, and I knew from the first drink of alcohol that I took that I was different than everyone else that I was around that was drinking. Like I'll take you guys back, right? I'm 15 years old, and my friends and I had, we found out a way to cop some beer, and I remember where I was. I remember whose house we were at. I remember literally exactly where I was sitting that day, and we were like up on this hill, and my boys busted open their 40 ounces or whatever it was, and they're all laughing and giggling, and I was kind of like just sitting there by myself. And I remember cracking the 40 ouncer open, and there was something inside of me that I knew like what I was doing was not a good idea. I knew it was wrong. Of course, I was underage. Um, but I remember taking the first swig, and I remember like just like hearing like the, and then I remember just the alcohol going down my throat, and it just instantly took away like all my fears, took away all the feelings of like I don't belong, or just everything that I thought I was afraid of. It just instantly dissipated. And then my next thought was, I want to do this every day, all the time, no matter what.
so where did you get those feelings from to feel like you needed to cope with the alcohol? Like, where did you start from, and how did that lead you to where you are today, which a lot of people admire where you are today?
Yeah.
Kind of referred to like was there like a big like turning point where you're like something needs to change?
Well, yeah. That's a powerful question. Like, where did it start? So sometimes you'll hear people say that addiction is a result of trauma, right? Like somebody undergoes some trauma, and then they find drugs or alcohol, and they start to use it to cope, and they lose track of sort of how to cope with things. But for me, it was a little bit different. Like, I don't know. Ever since I was a young kid, I always like I was my biggest. I was my own worst enemy all the time, and a lot of people like that's normal, but for me, it was like an extreme thing. Like I remember being a kid in high school, and not even grade school. Like I just I never felt like I fit in. Like I was a short guy, so I always had to like work harder in sports. I always had to work harder to get a girlfriend. I always had to. I just felt like I had to work harder to do things, and I would see like like let's just say the rich kid who had everything, and he had the nice BMX bike, and he had the Nintendo 64 and all the newest games, and I was sitting there like I didn't have those things. I didn't grow up with money. Um, my parents had me at a very young age. My dad was 19 years old. My mom was 17. They were kids. You know, they had me, and it was a challenge. They had a challenging time. Challenging marriage, and there was a lot of arguing in my house. There was a lot of like untreated mental health issues, and as a child, I internalized that stuff. And it's just natural when there's trauma in the household. Like usually the kid is the first person to like say like, what did I do wrong, you know so I started to feel like maybe this stuff's my fault, like maybe I can do something about it, but I could never quite figure out what to do about it. So when I found alcohol, like that literally became my solution to that. you know like drugs and alcohol is the greatest form of escape for a person, right? Like it's easy to you go to work, you have a hard week at work, and on a Friday you come home and it's like, oh, I just want to relax with a glass of wine or smoke a doobie or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And for a normal person, like that's perfectly okay. But the difference is I'm not a normal person. Like I can't just have one of anything. Like we say in recovery that we have an allergy to alcohol. That once I put alcohol to my lips and it goes into my bloodstream, there's like this allergy that I have that requires me to have another drink. There's no stopping at one. So what I learned through recovery was that like while people thought drugs and alcohol were my problem, drugs and alcohol actually became my solution to a problem that I didn't know existed, if that makes sense.
Of course, that makes total sense. I feel like, and once you start to like get in that like mindset, you start to rely on it, which makes it even worse, and like starts to grow and make the problem grow as you continue to go down that road.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I talked about like alcohol and drugs being an escape. Like my first form of escape as a child was telling a lie. Like I didn't, I don't know. There was something inside of me that didn't feel right. So my friends would say, "Hey Mac, can we come over to your house and play?" I would make up a lie, I'd be like, "Oh, like, oh no, today's not a good day because my dad's got something going on or whatever." And then when it came to sports, like, "Oh, did you make the varsity team?" "Oh no, I had an injury." I just started lying about like stupid stuff, right? Because it was like I was trying to protect this, I don't know, this secret inside that I just didn't feel right, and I didn't want people to know that. So lying became sort of habitual, right? And then when I found my solution, which was drugs and alcohol, I didn't lie anymore. I didn't have to. I lied more actually after my addiction progressed, but I just didn't care anymore because like as soon as I took a drink, like all the inhibitions went away, and I just felt like, you know. So.
So like I don't know, I guess it like kind of altered your personality and you just didn't feel like conscious to this decision that like okay, lying is not really a bad thing. It's just I don't want to do it, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But
And recovery is like one of the number one things. Like I have a recovery mentor, like a sponsor, so to speak. And when I said I wanted to get sober, he was like, "Okay, are you willing to go to any length to do this?" And I was like, yes, I'm willing to do anything. And he said, "Okay, well, I'm going to need you to be brutally honest, like 100%, no matter what, no matter how crazy your thoughts get, you need to be honest and vulnerable because if you don't, like that's you're still living in that way that you used to live, right? Like I don't feel good, so I didn't naturally like as we progress in life and we do better at our jobs and we build our families, like we wear this like put on this persona that like everything in our world is okay. But in reality, like we're all suffering from something. It may be different at this particular moment, but we're all going to go through struggles. And the people that I feel like excel in life and progress, they are the ones that are not ashamed to say like, "Hey, I need help. I don't know what I'm doing here. I need to be surrounded by a group of people that have walked this path before." And that was something that I was not humble enough to do for literally most of my life up until I got sober. And then I started hanging out with people that say, you need to humble yourself. You need to, you know, do what we did to get what we got.
Yeah, often I find when I do feel depressed or when I have a problem in mind, I pretty much just distract myself for a little bit, and whether that's okay, I'm just gonna take a nap, and then when I wake up, I won't think about it. I'll think about something else, what I need to do, or if I'll just watch YouTube or TikTok, and that'll make me giggle inside, and then like I won't even think about the problem. But it's like I feel like people who see the problem and just go full for running on it are like really powerful people, and I'm trying to work on that myself to
Mhm.
not ignore the problems that I have, like significant or little. I just feel like any problem, like the more problems I face, the more at peace in mind I'll be,
Yeah.
and that's ultimately my goal in life, to be at peace.
Yeah. Amen to that. Gage, have you ever done something basically against your will that you continued to do this thing and you knew that every time you did it, like it was not a good idea and that it was causing potential harm? Like, can either of you guys think of anything in your life that you've done that with?
Guys, do you want to go?
You go first, and then I'll
And
tell
maybe you
you.
haven't, but like it's just an interesting topic, right? Because that's kind of like what I did over and over and over and over. Like consequences kept building up. I knew what I was doing was harmful, and it started with just something small that progressed into something where like I got to a point where like the minute my eyes opened, like the very first thought was I need something immediately to make me feel okay.
Yeah,
But go ahead.
I just through high school, I mean, even middle school, I was never a great student at all. And I can't really speak too much of my experience just because I don't have a lot of experience. Like, high school is my only life experience, man. Like, I just graduated 2 years ago. But,
We learned a lot in high school. You just don't realize it until later on. You're like, damn, I learned a lot in high school, but I just didn't really, you know, I didn't think about it at the time.
yeah, but like in high school, in middle school, like I was never the best student. I was failing my classes. In middle school, at least, in elementary school, I just always wanted to be the class clown because I didn't have any friends and I didn't
Mm.
fit in a certain way. I was the fat kid. I wasn't like,
Really?
yeah. I toned up a little bit and I started hitting the gym, but I was the fat kid. I played video games in the basement and I didn't go outside at all. I hated loud noises, and at summer camp, I would sit there and play a board game by myself while everyone else was playing sports because like I wasn't good at sports at all. So like that
Mhm.
immediately like eliminated me from any friend groups,
Yeah.
like or like being picked in in these different classes like gym class, dude, that was terrible. I was the last pick every single time. But it's just like I don't know, that gave me like an isolated feeling. So like I always kind of yearned for a relationship or like to fit in, and I wanted people to laugh at me because that gave me a feeling like yo, these people actually kind of like me. Like, see, I'm making them laugh. But that was middle school, elementary. I guess like in high school, again, I like to fit into these groups. It was a lot easier because I mean, I was social and like I could talk to these people, but to fit in, I actually did the stuff that they wanted to do and not be like authentic to who the person I am is was.
Mm.
And like even that being said, like I'm in high school, I don't even know who I am. So like, why not just try to fit in? And it's public. Like I shotgunned a beer in science class in sophomore year, and I guess like I mean that was suspending me. That was a big whoop. My parents were super mad at me, and I took the fall for it. But yeah, I guess like stuff like that. Like I failed a couple classes. I didn't do the best, and I figured out, man, like this is not helping me. Like this is not the direction I want to go.
Mhm.
I want to be more developed as a person and kind of like stand on my own 2 feet and like figure out who I am and what I want out of life. Because I mean, following this direction is like I wasn't genuinely happy. I just go home and be sad, and I wouldn't get invited to stuff either ways anyway. So like it was like, okay, so I'm acting popular in school, and then I go home and what?
I feel like mine's a little different because like growing up and up to this point, like I feel like most people's like biggest thing they continue to do is like drink and party and smoke. But up to this point, I've never like taken a sip of alcohol or smoked in my entire life.
Mm-hmm.
So and I was lucky enough to have like a really good group of friends growing up that like kept me out of that and like kept me focused on other things. Like obviously, I played college football,
Mm-hmm.
so like I've always been really focused on football and school, and they kept me on the right path a lot. But I
Yeah.
feel like that also like my biggest thing would be like relying too much on like getting myself excited about the next thing.
Mm.
Like for example, like if I was at one place, but I'm really excited to like if I'm in high school, I really want to go play like football, or I want to go to this other school and do this. Like I'll really hate where I am currently
Mm.
because of my excitement for the next place.
Mm.
So I feel like my biggest thing is continually like instead of just being happy with what I have and where I am, I'm not as grateful as I could be. And I
Gotcha.
could be like a lot more grateful for where I am instead of always focusing on like what I could have or like where I could be. Which
Yeah.
I feel like is my biggest thing, unlike um drugs and alcohol or like anything else we talked about.
Yeah. No, that's I like that topic. What I'm hearing out of that is two things. One, gratitude. We have a saying in recovery that a grateful recovering addict will never use again. So think about that. A truly grateful recovering addict will never use again. And what does that mean when you break it down? It just means like if I am truly grateful for the things that I have in this moment, then I have no need to reach for some, outside of the box thing to make me feel better in the moment because I'm truly grateful for everything that I have in this moment. And the other thing that like helps me in those moments and stuff that I had to learn is mindfulness. Mindfulness and self compassion. Like I literally learned when I got sober, it it literally felt like I held my breath for 17 years and I could finally breathe again. And when I first got sober, the hardest thing for me to do was sit still and get quiet. Like it's the hardest thing for me to do. I'm antsy by nature. My anxiety is always high. I drink way too much coffee, and it makes it a lot worse. But I needed somebody to teach me how to sit still and kind of just smell the roses. You know what I mean? Like I was sitting in my car the other day, and I was texting something or checking emails, and I like heard this little tap on my window. You guys might have seen the Facebook post. This it was a like a little tiny bird. My window was halfway down. This little tiny bird starts tapping on my window, and I was like, "Oh my god!" So I get my camera phone out, and I was just like, "This thing's gotta let me film it." And I got it on film, and it just like in that moment, like I was receptive to understanding, like if I was just speeding through the day, like I would miss these beautiful little mini spiritual experiences that are always happening around me. And those, it's like when I was addicted to drugs and alcohol and everything I longed for was like an escape from reality, I missed 17 years of spiritual experiences. So now, I'm not saying like I'm this like spiritual guru by any means, but I can stop and smell the roses a lot better now than I ever used to be able to do.
No, I love that because I mean, my form of addiction is my phone. I mean,
Yeah.
everybody's addicted to
Yeah.
their phone nowadays, and I have to sit down and be self aware to be like I do. I looked at my phone the entire day, and I haven't looked up.
Mm.
And imagine a world where my entire life is just formed out of a little rectangle in my hand, and like everything's going on in the world, but I'm still just staring at this little rectangle. And dude, I just gotta walk outside sometimes and just look around. And like I've been really tempting myself to just put the phone down, put technology away, and just try to have like real life world experiences. And
Mm.
I'm kind of jealous of you guys when you were growing up. You guys didn't even have phones. Like, what
No, we
you got?
didn't.
You guys were having fun back then, doing whatever.
Dude, we had VHS tapes. When we wanted to record something, we had camcorders with big bulky ass tapes, and we had to like put the tape in and hit the eject button, door would open up, and then you had to slap it in the VCR and like press rewind so it would go all the way back to the beginning, and then the tapes would got all jumbled up. Like we had a we had a crew like me, my brother. So shout out to Zachary Toth and Angelo Long, like two of my closest. Well, Zachary's my brother, and Angelo is like one of my best friends from growing up. We had a crew together. So when I was 19 years old, I was really big into breakdancing. I was on a legitimate dance crew. Like I danced all over Pittsburgh and in the subways of New York. Like I was always spinning on my head, doing windmills, and I bought a set of turntables. So we had this little DJ crew. I started this DJ business. I was like about 18, and it like blew up back home where I'm from, Western PA, and we would videotape like everything that we did. We didn't have camera phones or we didn't even have flip phones then. And I was joking with my brother the other day. I'm like, could you imagine if we had the phones we had today and we would have recorded all the content that we had back in the day? Like we would probably be like influencers. Like I'm not joking. Dude. We had so much footage of us freestyling and DJing nightclubs, doing all this crazy wilding out stuff. Like my dad's basement was literally like a nightclub. We had two sets of turntables, DJ lights, big ass speakers. Like it was lit. And one of the things that happened with me was I was 19. I was in this dance competition in Pittsburgh. I go down to do a windmill, and my left knee pops. And I get up and I start to try to dance again, and I'm like, my knee is shot. Like I knew right away, like something was going on with my knee. So I come back, I go to the doctors, and they're like, we're sorry to report you tore your posterior and anterior meniscus. Like you're gonna need knee surgery. And I was like, damn. And that was a life changing moment for me. Like a normal person would have gone through physical therapy, got their prescription, only took things as needed, and they would have like healed and went right back to what they were doing. But me, it went a little differently. I remember like the first prescription bottle of narcotic pain pills that I got, and I looked on the bottle and it said that alcohol will intensify these effects, and I was like, that sounds awesome. I was like, there's like instructions on here. This is how I get more high. This is amazing. So what did I do? Like a good addict, I start mixing pain pills with booze, and then my recovery was longer. Like I would go in and out of depression, and then that really like amped up the progression of things for me. And then I would have these periods where like I would do well, like DJ business was doing well, but then I would just get so messed up on, I'd be like, I was like a heavy binger at first, like partying real hard on the weekends, and then I would like tank, and then I would get depressed, and then I would be up and down and up and down. It was like this roller coaster. And when I was 23 years old, I got my first real like a big boy job where it was a company. They said, would you relocate from Pittsburgh to Harrisburg? We're gonna give you your first outside sales territory. And I sold packaging material to warehousing, manufacturing, and distribution. And I owe a lot to that company. It's Stretch Pack Inc. It was like a small group of 8 salespeople, small little like owner and his brother, and they were like the people that taught me how to like really start to do sales. Like they were amazing. They taught me how to like, walk in, like read a room when you walk into somebody's office, and like identify what their interests are. And they taught me how to kind of like start networking and all that stuff. And I owed them so much, and I had so much potential back then. But it took me literally like 3 years before, like as I started to do well, my addiction progressed with that. So by the age of 26, I ended up. This is a crazy story, right? I'm at home. My boss calls me up. This is my sales manager, and he says, "Hey Matt," he's like, "What are you doing?" My sales manager lives in Shippensburg. I'm like, "Oh yeah, yeah, boss. I got this big day planned. I got all these sales calls. I'm gonna go out and do this, do that." And he's like, "Hey, why don't you open the door, Matt?" He was outside of my apartment, and I was just like, oh, man. I was like, Rich, you don't want to see me right now, man. He's like, no, Matt, just open up. I just want to just check on you. And he knew I wasn't out, right? And I'm 26 years old. I'm sitting on my couch in my living room in my underwear, no shirt. This is like 8 o'clock a.m. And I have powder on my coffee table. I got a bottle of wine, a bottle of booze, and I'm half in the bag at 8 a.m. on like a Wednesday. And my boss is outside telling me to open the door. And dude, like at that point, I was like, the gig's up. I need help. And they that they actually like paid my rent for the month, and I went to my first treatment at age 26. Um, my mom ended up having like an intervention for me where she hired an interventionist just like you see on TV, and my family was there and they all wrote their little love letters to me. And I was like, yeah, yeah, all right, I think I need help. I'm gonna go to treatment. And they were like, okay, will you go right now? And I was like, no, I'm gonna go tomorrow because the Steelers are playing tomorrow, and I want to watch the Steelers game. like, eh, so this is crazy, right? My mom dri- wakes me up the next morning. She's like, I'm ready to drive you to rehab, Matt. And I'm like, all right, mom, but here's the deal. I want to stop first and grab a six pack for the ride up. My mom's like, there's no bar open at 7 a.m. And I was like, yeah, there is. I'll show you where it's at. And I had my mom like buy me a six pack of pounders as she drove me to my first rehab at age 26. I get there, I'm greeted by a doctor and a psychologist. They do all these tests on me, find out how much I was using, how often, when I started. They do a test on my liver, and they're like, "Dude, like your liver's swollen, like you're detoxing off of narcotics and alcohol. Like you need, if you keep drinking and drugging like this, like you're not going to see 30." And I was like, "Yeah, yeah, no, I understand. That's why I'm here, right?" And I was in that treatment center for 30 days. I get out, I start going to recovery meetings. I'm all amped up. I'm like, yeah, I'm ready to take the different path. And I relapsed 30 days outside of that treatment. And I ended up getting arrested for a DUI that night. And I didn't go back to treatment for another decade. So you can imagine like the progression of that from age 15 to 26. I get arrested for, at the time, was my second DUI. And then I get out of the drunk tank that night. My mom picks me up, and I just remember walking out saying, like, I don't know what's wrong with me. I'm just too broken. Like, I went where they told me the solution was, and it didn't work for me. So I'm just, I'm just screwed. And I can tell you, like, the next decade of my life was the darkest period that you could ever imagine. Like, it was bad. But here I am, baby.
Um, we are happy you're here, and it's strong stuff. Like you're saying this right now, but then again, like look at where you're at. Like obviously you're in a good place, and I'm all here for it.
Mhm.
And I'm excited to see this, to see how you got to this situation. I'm just like I'm honestly like I'm zoned into the story that you're saying now. I'm just ready. Like, what's next? Like, what happened? Like, how did the 10 years go? Like, you got me sold, man.
Yeah, yeah. Well, the next 10 years, I'll wrap it up in a nutshell. Like I did more drugs, I drank more alcohol, and then I was like, just got to a point like most of my relationships were either in shambles or non-existent. I got into unhealthy relationships with women. Basically had given my mom and dad many sleepless nights, worried about me if I was going to make it up the next day or if I was even alive. And I had all these periods. Like one of the cool things about like my life is I was always fortunate to have opportunities like fall in my lap. And I do not say this with any bit of ego at all. Like it's just I'm grateful that these opportunities have come and gone, and people keep believing in me, but I've had so many opportunities that were literally just given to me that I screwed up. And actually, I think it was Eric Brewer who said something to me. When I was working for him, it was about 60 days in, and I was had so much anxiety. I was like, I had imposter syndrome. I felt like I didn't belong. Like, what am I doing here? I don't belong in real estate. And Eric came up to me and he was just like, Matt, he's like, why don't you just quit? And I was like, you dick. Like, why would you say that to me? He's like, no, seriously, why don't you just quit and go back to what is easy and comfortable? And he said it just like that. And I was like, so he's like, why don't you pack your bags, go home, talk to your wife, and really think about what you want to do in life, because I feel like you keep putting yourself into situations that you don't belong. And I was like, damn, that was the truth I needed to hear. And this is sober, you know what I mean? This is like years into my recovery. This is just like 2 years ago that this happened. So he said that to me, and I came back the next day, and I was literally going to resign, and I ended up texting Eric. I said, Eric, I'm in the office. My computer's open, my head's down, and I'm going to continue on this path. And if 90 days pass and you don't think this is a good fit for me, then I'll respectfully, resign. And I ended up staying there, and I resigned on my own terms. But just all these little lessons that happened along the way that I was not receptive to because I was always so numb. Now I'm receptive to, and I can process it and understand it, and you know, choose what to do next. So
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. And also, I want to like go based off of that. Like, what first brought you into real estate?
yeah, that's a good question. So to be honest, I never truly had a dream to be a real estate professional. What I did have a dream to be, and still do, is to be a real estate investor. My dad, when I moved out here, I told you guys I was 23, right?
Mhm.
My parents split up at age 19, so they both ended up getting remarried. My dad's remarried to a woman. My mom's remarried as well. Well, the year that I moved out here, I think it was 2003 or four. My dad bought his first property, and then the next year he bought another property, and then he bought another property, and he ended up with like something crazy like 144 doors. Like he just kept buying and holding and buying and holding, and he self manages all these properties. So the life that my dad has set up for himself today is so far from the life that I had growing up. He ended up having three more kids through in vitro. So my dad's 66. He has an 18-year old, a 15-year old, and a 7-year old. And I'm the oldest at 45. And I have a 40-year-old brother. He has five kids from 7 to 45. And watching my dad's success through real estate investing just inspired me. So when I was about 2 years sober, I started doing vision boards. I started writing goals. That's like, one day I want to own a property. I want to become a landlord. One day I want to get my real estate license. One day, and everything that I literally said I was going to do in sobriety, I've done. And when how I ended up coming to work for Eric was I kept messaging him on LinkedIn and Facebook. I'm like, Eric, please have breakfast with me. I want to meet you. I've been watching your company on social media. Like, I respect what you guys are doing. Just have breakfast with me. We had a breakfast one day. I was actually working at a hotel. That's my background, is hotel management. And we had a breakfast, and I said, Eric, what I'm really looking for is like an investment mentor. I just want to learn to invest my money well and make smart choices, because I didn't do it most of my life. So that day, Eric, being the good salesman he is, he was like, you should just quit your job and come work for me. And I was like, so of course I did. I quit my job at the hotel, and I went and worked for Eric for a year. But right now, like, I work at a drug and alcohol treatment center. Like, I work as a professional in the mental health field, which is insane to me, because literally, like, my resume is my trauma. Like, that's my resume for where I work right now. It's not book smarts or anything like that. It's like lived in experience with drugs and alcohol got me a job as a professional in the mental health field. Like, that's part of my dream too. So that's kind of how I got into real estate. I'm still inspired to invest in real estate. I don't think I've ever met anybody that said that they wish they wouldn't have bought that property or invested in real estate. So I'm going to continue on that path. I bought a property last year. It was my first one. I rehabbed it. Actually used 717 Mortgage. Shout out to those
Shout out.
guys. And yeah, I refied with you guys, and all is well. The first property, I got it on a short sale. I got it at like, on the one. It was listed for like 149. I think I wrote an offer for like 137. Got it. Like, the bank accepted my offer. I put 17 grand into it. I rehabbed it. I did a lot of the work myself, subbed out some of the stuff that it was over my head, and I got a tenant in there within 3 months. I refied it. The property came in at like, I think 212, it's valued at. So like I have like basically like 50K equity in that deal, and um I'm cash flowing, I think, like $589 on that one. So it was a good one for my first property. I learned a lot through that.
Absolutely. I mean, like a lot of times on the first one, they just full on go bankrupt. So that's great. You're cash flowing.
The first one is the hardest. Yeah, it
But
is. The first one's
So-
always the hardest.
like going into like another step of like when you look for, I know you like that was your first property, but when you're scouting out properties and looking for which ones would be a good investment, like what are the main things you base on?
Yeah, I would love to do another property this year. Like that's my goal, is to buy another property. This one I want to get like a duplex or a triplex. Like I got a single unit, I want to get a duplex or a triplex. I'd love to have like
It's an awesome
two
idea.
or three sets of tenants in there. But I don't know. Like my heart and soul is in Lancaster County. Like it's a little expensive there. It's
Yes.
tough to find something that is like a good deal from an investment standpoint, unless you like basically steal it. But yeah, my property's in Columbia, so I still think like Columbia is a good place to invest. Like it's an up and coming area, and yeah, I don't know. I haven't honestly, like, with me starting the job at the treatment center. Like I kind of put looking at a property on the back burner. It's like I needed to get my feet kind of on the ground here with this job, so that's like top priority right now.
well, no, yeah, me and Gage often question like meaningful purpose whenever we're like pursuing interest in life, and like obviously that's your purpose, and it's great that you have that background because when you find that background and you find that purpose and now you're trying to help other people and show them that there is a route out. Like I don't know from personal experience, but my idea, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, is they think this is the only solution, and they don't like know if, well, they don't know if they have any support, and even if they do, like I don't know, maybe it just isn't enough. But like you being here and telling them that there is support, there is better ways, there is a more meaningful purpose in life. Like you don't have to go through this. Is I think it would help a lot of people out, and I think it would encourage a lot of people to be like, let's let's find out a passionate way, and let's just go out and see if we can make change as well. And it's just like
Yeah.
I find encouragement in that. Like I want to be personally, I want to be in the mental group, and I want to stick up for mental awareness because I feel like a lot of people like seasonal depression is a big one.
Yeah.
Like obviously people go through these routes and they get depressed and they don't know what's happening, but obviously it's just because we don't have any vitamins. Like it's cold, it's dark.
You get seasonal depression, Gage?
I mean, yeah, of course. I feel like everyone does. I feel like
Yeah.
it's a normal human thing to like when it's compared to the nice summer, you're on vacation, you're out at the pool with your friends, like you're gonna be happier. But when all you have to focus on is like, especially being in college, like you're in a dorm room, it's cold,
Yeah.
being in Philly.
Then there's these people that say like,
Outskirts
"I love
Philly, but-
winter." I'm like, "Yeah, I love winter."
How do you love winter?
What?
We got Christmas, but man, it's still cold.
Yeah, I mean Christmas is cool, but like of course, like anytime it's cold and there's like less stuff to do, like I feel like just waking up in the morning and going to start your car in the freezing cold is just like it instantly like hurts your mood a lot.
Yeah, for sure.
So I of course like I feel like anybody else, like everyone has seasonal depression. Whenever it gets cold and there's less stuff to do, you're gonna be a little more
Definitely.
sad.
Yeah,
Definitely.
well, people are like naturally social, like human beings by nature. We want to talk to other people. I mean, like there's a specific few that like I hate people, but like naturally we want to talk to people. And being stuck inside in the cold, like it does make a mental an effect. Like I feel so much rejuvenated whenever I am out and I'm talking to a whole bunch of people. Yes, I like my alone time too,
Yeah.
but it doesn't feel good to not be social like, at all.
No, no. In fact, like the looking back, like when I got sober, the first 2 years I relapsed, both in the winter. Like it got dark early, it got cold, and I started like I was not in a good spot mentally or spiritually where I was ready to like cope with that. And as soon as like we had a couple weeks in a row of like the dark and the cold, like my brain is wired to like want to feel something warm and fuzzy instantly, and I reached for a drink, and then I relapsed. So it was a rough. I had a rough start there when I got sober. Actually, it was like 2017 or 16 when I was like, I'd reached that point where I was like, man, if I don't change now, I'm gonna die. And it was 2016 when I ended up in my second treatment center, and then I relapsed, got a year clean, ended up in my third treatment center, relapsed right away, ended up in my fourth treatment center in 2018, and I haven't had a drink or drug since. So,
Congrats, congrats.
yes,
Congratulations.
sir.
Can I ask, like psychologically, whenever the relapses did happen, were you like disappointed, or were you like, this is what I enjoy? Like what was the
I
mindset?
was devastated. Like I was devastated.
I feel like that
Uh,
also would add to it as well, being devastated, putting you in a darker spot probably too.
Yeah. No, it was total darkness, bro. Because like you go to treatment, you have all your family and friends like pulling for you, like, yay, he finally made a decision to get help. You get out of treatment, you're feeling good, you got your weight up, you're like, yeah, I'm doing good. And then all of a sudden it's like wham. Um, I twisted the timer. I was actually after my second treatment center, I had a year clean. That was when I met my wife. My wife's me and her met in recovery, and we were both just honestly like just getting started out on our journey, and we did what they say you shouldn't do, which is get into a relationship. Like, and you understand why they tell people in early recovery not to get into a relationship right away.
I feel like it'd be because if the relationship ends, you'll go into an even like darker depression probably.
That's a huge reason. Absolutely correct. The main reason outside of that is because like y- when most people are addicted to drugs and alcohol for a long period of time, even a short period of time, it could be a couple years, they lose their identity. They lose who they are. Some of us, including myself in this category, I never even knew who I was at all, let alone had knew who I was and then lost it. I never developed like most kids develop because I started loading up on that stuff at age 15. My brain wasn't even fully developed. So I literally like changed the course of how I was going to develop as a human because of the choices that I made with drugs and alcohol. So fast forward, years later, you get sober and you're just like learning how to basically live life without chemicals, and then you're going to go get into a relationship right away. Like, how can you contribute to another human if you barely even are able to contribute to yourself? You know what I mean? And the thing with recovery is like everybody is at a different stage when they get sober. Like, you have some people that kept their jobs, they kept their finances, they just were like highly functioning addicts or alcoholics. And then you have people like me that literally like burn it all to the ground. So when I got sober, dude, like I didn't know who I was, what I was, where I was going. I didn't know anything. I just knew I just needed to learn to live without drugs and alcohol, and the rest would kind of come into place as I stayed on the path. But there's a saying that we always say, it's like just trust the process, and you can use that with really anything in life, right? Like when you start out in real estate, it's hard. When you start out in the mortgage world, it's hard, a- and you just trust the process. You keep doing the same things over and over until you form new habits, and then one day you wake up and you're like, shit, like I'm doing this in my sleep. Your headphones good?
Yeah, yeah. I'm just making sure they're all. Sorry
Cool.
about that.
No doubt, no doubt. Yeah, yeah, no, I find that like that's one of the maybe that's one of the reasons that I question purpose is because I am on that building stage and it's hard, like you said, and I'm doing all these things to lead up to something that I may want, but at the same time, like I'm not comfortable, and I could fall back and be comfortable, and but I'm for some reason I'm not, and that's just the habitat the habits that I'm building day to day, and some type of discipline are created for some reason.
That's good. Comfort is a dangerous place for a lot of people,
Yeah, but
especially me.
but no, we were actually talking before the podcast. We were like, why not? Like we should like just be comfortable. Like, but but we're here now with you, and you're telling us exactly why we shouldn't be comfortable, why we shouldn't just go out, and why we shouldn't do that. But
Well, comfort's easy, right? Like it's easy. Like in the morning, it's easier to stay in bed because it's comfortable. It's easy to pull the covers back over your head and stay in the warm little bed. It's hard to get up early. It's hard to go to the gym. It's hard to save money. It's hard to invest. Like, but then I look at it like, what's harder, right? Like you get to a point later on in life where you made bad choices. You didn't invest properly, so you didn't do the hard in the beginning. Now you're going to do the hard later, and I think the hard later is much worse than the hard in the beginning.
absolutely,
Like you don't want to be 45 years old, like worrying about like, holy shit, I didn't invest in a 401k ever because I was too busy worrying about buying comfort. Like that's what I was doing. I was always searching for comfort. You had said something earlier about like you yearned for connection.
yeah, like deep relationships.
Yeah. And dude, like if you think about it, like they say that addiction is a spiritual disease. It's a spiritual deficiency. Like we have a hole in our soul that we don't know what to fill it up with. And like the reality is like we should be filling it up with God. But
Exactly.
we don't, right? Or at least I didn't. So I was filling that void with anything I could possibly get to make me feel comfort in the moment. And then one day I wake up and I'm like, the thing that I trusted to give me comfort, now my tolerance is higher. Now it's not working the same that it always has. Now I'm reaching for more of it to achieve the same results. And it's this crazy vicious cycle until you get to a point where it just stops working and you're doing it just to survive.
I feel like that's an interesting thing to go off. I know you mentioned like God, and I feel like even though it's only our second episode, I feel like everything always comes back to like finding God and believing in God.
Mm.
Was that like a big point for you at all in your turnaround as well?
Yeah, absolutely. I remember I met this dude and I walked up to him and I was like, yeah, I was like, I understand you guys talk about God a lot and like you're telling me that this is a spiritual answer to a spiritual problem. And he goes, let me share something with you, Matt. He goes, until you realize that there is a God and you ain't it, you're fucked. I was like, dang, like that. Until you realize there is a God and you ain't it, like you're screwed, right? And I
Yeah.
was like, okay.
Yeah. How did that make you feel in the moment? Did you were you curious about like exploring that, or were you just like, this dude's crazy? Like, why is he saying that to
This
me?
dude's crazy.
I didn't think he was crazy because he had something that I wanted, right? Like I knew this guy was sober a long time and there was just something about him. Like there was this aura about him where like it wasn't like he had a I don't give a F attitude. It was like he didn't care what was going on in the world. He didn't care what people thought about him. He was always just chill. Like his hand was always steady. He didn't get rattled over little things. He didn't get rattled over big things. He never got overly excited or you know way too down when something sad happened. He was always just like even kill, and I was just like really curious about how he's achieved that like sort of like mindset, right? And he attributed to his relationship with God. He's like, I trust that God is always with me. God promises one thing, that he will provide our daily bread. And when you start wanting more than what God promises to provide, then that's when you start taking your will back. And there's another saying in recovery that when we were actively drinking and drugging and living a very selfish lifestyle, because addiction is extremely selfish, like we were a self will run riot. You know what I mean? Like we were just running like ransom through like a tornado through the universe, and all we cared about was making ourselves feel good, and we didn't care who we stepped on in our path. So to the opposite side of that is like having a relationship with God and having love in our heart and looking at the world through soft eyes, like it's a totally different way of living than what I had lived for a very long time. So finding God and building a relationship with God and inviting Him into my life, and saying a little prayer before I get on a podcast. God, speak through my words, speak, use me as a vessel. Like these are all things that like I had to form these habits, right? I had to form a habit of prayer and meditation in the mornings. Um, but yeah, God is a major part of my story and my recovery. And um, you know, like I said, He's always been there, but I was just not like I had blinders on. I wasn't receptive to hearing the messages. If that makes sense.
Do you
Yeah.
think? Sorry. Do you want
Okay. I was just gonna say I feel like that's a big thing with a lot of people. Like whenever things are going like really good, you're quick to like thank him and be grateful for him. But as soon as things go bad, like people are super quick to blame him
Yeah.
and like question like if he's real or why he's doing what he's doing,
Yeah.
instead of just like choosing him and accepting him that he's your God and he's doing what's best for you.
Yeah.
Even though most people in the midst of bad things don't expect that in that time, they'd rather just blame him and
Yeah.
turn away from him.
Yeah. I feel like God works through tragedy. Like sometimes people will say, why did God let that happen? There's this terrible car accident or whatever, like a death at birth or whatever. And they say, like, how could God allow this to happen? And I truly believe that like God works through those tragedies. And if you have a relationship with God and you invite him into your life, that how you come out of that tragedy and share that part of your journey with the world, like then you're now allowing that his message to speak through you through that tragedy. Like today, the lady that I was with, she lost her son to an overdose like 7 or 8 years ago. He did drugs, he overdosed, he's not with us anymore. So what did she do? She had two choices. One, go into a deep dark depression and blame God and just have the middle finger up to the world, or she could go start a nonprofit organization in his honor. And now I was there with the Elizabethtown College. The students came in, they teamed up with her organization to do a project and ask people who lived with addiction, like, how, to tell their stories. Like, she's doing amazing stuff now. Through that tragedy came so much more life. You know what I mean? Um, I like that saying that, like, our biggest tragedy will one day become someone else's survival guide.
I feel exactly that way. I feel like God uses people and makes them go through certain things in life to really help others down the line, because you're going to use that trauma. Like yourself is a great example of that. You've been through a lot of things, especially with like alcohol, and now God gets to use you to fulfill hopefully the purpose you have for yourself and the purpose he has for you to help people with that struggle and help them turn to a better light and see life in a better way and be more positive, which is awesome in my opinion.
Amen to that.
I mean, you and her are doing a beautiful thing. You're bridging the two worlds between people and showing them that there is a light, that there is another option. And think of how many lives you're changing yourself just because of the life you've had. Like you're taking your experience and you're changing multiple hundreds, if not thousands, of lives with your experience. And that's ultimately like we need more of that in the world. We need more people who are willing to change the world, because if not, like usually the same saying gets said in someone's mind: why would I do that? What change is it going to make?
Yeah, it's funny you say that, because when I first got sober, I was still so attached to the guilt and shame that I had about the way that I was living, that I would go to networking events where I was like around alcohol, right? And like, I was embarrassed. Like I was like, man, I'm embarrassed, man. I've been to multiple rehab. I spent a year in York County Prison. I'm a habitual DUI offender. I have a record. Like, no one wants to hear any of this. Like, and the whole time that I was living that way, I lied about who I really was. I had this mask on. I pretended like everything was always okay, when in the reality, people knew I was struggling. But I had reached a point where I'm at it. I had the opportunity to speak at a recovery event. It was the very first time I ever got up and just ripped my story, and I told like the truth. Like, yes, I did heroin. Yes, I did cocaine. Yes, I was, smoking crack in my mom's basement when I watched my car get repossessed. Like, these are the things that I did. And I told my story for the first time, and I had someone from the audience come up to me, and I was like, oh no, I work with this lady. I was working in hotels at the time, and she came up to me and she was like, "Thank you so much for sharing your story. I never imagined that it was that bad for you." She's like, "My son, or it was her nephew. My nephew's like 15 years old. He's really struggling. Would you talk to him?" And that was like it just something clicked inside of me, and I was like, I'm not gonna be ashamed about this anymore. I'm gonna tell my story. I'm gonna be open about it. And then I started going public with it. I started sharing about it, and just it's who I am. It's a part of my life. I'm not the person that I once was. I'm not the things that I did or the consequences that I faced. And I started getting messages on social media. Like, somebody would reach out. It'd be somebody that I went to high school with, or somebody that I used to play soccer with, and they would be like, "Hey Matt, like, thank you so much for posting that thing about your addiction. I'm struggling right now. I need help." And I was like, "Whoa, this is insane!" Like, now people were starting to reach out, and I just never looked back.
So, I mean, that being said, like, would you ever go back?
Would I ever go back
Yeah.
to what?
Like,
Using?
no, absolutely not. Would you ever go back before and change what you did, or are you
Oh,
happy
gotcha.
with like how your life is leading up to now? Because now you're changing all these lives.
That's a question I think about a lot. To be honest, like, no, I don't think that I would change anything. When I went through that tough time where I kept relapsing,
Mhm.
I was so devastated. Like, I was just like, what is wrong with me? Like, I'm freaking 34 years old and I'm still going back to rehab. Like, something is wrong with me. But I don't know. Like, I wouldn't trade that, because now that I do have a good groundwork, now that I do have some time under my belt, uh, now that I'm working in the field professionally, like, I can use that chronic relapsing experience with the next person that continues to relapse. Like, we always say, relapse is not a requirement. Relapse does not have to be a part of everyone's recovery story. But unfortunately, there's a high percentage of people that do relapse. You know, not everyone's a first time winner. Like, it just doesn't work that way. So I'm thankful that I have those experiences to help somebody through that process. Good question though.
I feel like we have the same question with Eric because Eric also like went through similar things. Um, like we talked about on the podcast, like having problems with like anger or drinking and going down the same similar path. And I feel like it's like crazy how he had the same answer. We asked him the same question, like if he would have went back and changed anything about how he got to the point where he's at. He's like, I would keep the same exact way that I got here today, and I would not go back and change a single thing, which is awesome to hear
Yeah.
because it really shows how like people go through the struggles and like most people would be like, oh, like I wouldn't want that, but it needs to happen to really like fulfill what you want to do and to show you like why it's so important to you.
Yeah, yeah. And let's face it, like, there was a lot of I did have a lot of fun too. Like, I mean, I did have a lot of fun. Don't get that twisted. But no, it's every time I have the opportunity to do anything like this, like, I feel just so honored, because I remember, like, hearing the first person that had like a lot of time in recovery speak. I remember like where I was at, and I just like looked up to him. I was like, man, like, I want that so bad. I want to be like the guy one day that has years of recovery, that's able to like share an honest message with his experience, strength, and hope, and give somebody a reason to wake up the next day. And I just felt so far from that. And some days, like, I still struggle with imposter syndrome. Like, it's like this innate, like, ingrained toxic behavior that I have. And no matter what I do, when I try something new, I always go through this period where I just feel like I'm questioning myself. And I have to remember, like, it's part of like the mental health aspect of it. Like, this is a behavior that I had my entire life, and Rome wasn't built in a day. Like, I didn't get that bad in 8 years. I got that bad in 17 years. So it's going to take time to get good. You know what I mean? It's going to
Yeah.
take time to get well. So
So like, I know like you're starting off like helping people and like getting into the business of helping people with the same struggles as you. Like, what is your plan going forward with that?
yeah, I don't even know. um, yeah. Well, first of all, again, I feel just totally honored to be working in the mental health field as a professional. Like, I love, I love speaking about this. Like, it's the one thing in life that I am the most passionate about. When I'm speaking about addiction and recovery, like it's like that one thing that I don't even feel like I'm working. I don't feel like I'm. It's just comes out of me, right? Like, and I got to be honest, like there's nothing else that I've ever done in life that I feel that way about something like that passionate about it. So like one of my dreams is I want to become a keynote speaker. I want to speak to rooms of, 500 to 1,000 people, like whatever the limit is. I don't care. I want to be on a stage. I want to share my story. I want to inspire people. And what's really, really cool is like I started to kind of brand my myself as like a keynote speaker, and I booked my first keynote speaker gig this year.
Congratulations.
Man.
Yeah, yeah, they reached out to me like out of the blue, and they were like this nonprofit organization up in northern Lancaster, and they were like, "Hey, we've been following you. Like, we want you to be our keynote speaker for our gala." And I was like, "Oh, cool, yeah." I tried to act all like professional about it, and like I was like, "How many people?" They're like, "Oh, usually like 375 to 450, somewhere around there." And I was like, "Yeah, no problem." I'm like, but dude, I'm stoked about it. It's not till September, so I have some time to prep. Taking a little vacation right up, leading up to that. So hopefully I have everything planned out. Like my goal is to have everything planned out so I can just kick back on vacation and just kind of like breathe.
Yeah.
But knowing me, I'll probably procrastinate, and on vacation I'll be like remembering my speech.
Man, I'm super stoked for you. So, I mean, what message are you going to have for that audience? I mean, how are you going to tell them that this is just not the way?
Yeah, so it's a little different, right? Like I'm used to speaking to patients in rehabs. I'm used to speaking to colleges and schools, and I've spoken at overdose death awareness events. I've done a lot of speaking in the last 8 years. Um, but this particular event is not like I'm gonna just get up there and tell my story about drugs and alcohol and my redemption from them. Like I'm gonna certainly use that story to tie into like whatever my message is for that day. But this organization, they help people with mental and physical disabilities get have meaningful and purposeful lives. They get them actually where they have gainful employment, like in factories and manufacturing plants. Like they organize, they go in, they assess the company, they figure out where they can place certain people to do certain jobs, like people with autism and different different ailments, right? So I need my message to sort of align with like the mission of this organization. And yeah, I'm going to certainly tie in like my story. I'm going to try to do it in a motivational and inspirational way, but I also want to like bring it back to align with their kind of like this organization's mission. So
Do
be a
you?
little bit different than what I'm used to, but I'm ready. I'm up for the challenge.
I'm, I'm excited, man. I'm gonna actually follow up with it, but it just kind of sparked an idea. Do you think a purposeful life is being an active, productive member of society, or actually finding a purpose that will make you genuinely want to like live a long, genuine life? Like for me, I have the challenge of thinking, dude, this world is moving at the speed of light, and there's so many crazy things happening where I can't even imagine the future. I can't imagine what it's going to be like. And at that point, it kind of discourages me because I'm like, okay, well, if I can't imagine what the future is going to be like, and I just need to have a purpose for life to go to this future, what's my real purpose? Like, it's
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. Like being an
Like that's a
active.
hard answer to question.
Yeah.
Hard question to answer.
It is. It is. All I ever wanted to be was useful. I'm serious, man. Like I came to this realization where like I just want to be useful. I want to be useful to my wife. I want to be useful to my parents. I want to be useful to my brother. I want to be useful to people that I meet along the way. And when you live so long where you're just useless, like it's it raises the bar, man. Like I just um to go from a point where you're like no one will hire you, like where you're hiding out in your mom's basement, to being on board, like being part of the chamber and working for organizations that have, reputable brands. Like it's a tall task, man. Like to come from where I came from, it feels like, we all have a responsibility to be the best version of ourselves. But are when you're used to looking in the mirror and not liking the person that you see, like there's that like thing that's kind of ingrained in me. Like I need help. I need help from other people all the time. Like, and that's one of the messages I want to encourage, like anyone that's listening, is like so many people struggle. Very few people actually reveal the fact that they're struggling, you know, and it starts with something small. But the problem is that small thing starts to like build up over time until finally one day you wake up and you just feel like the walls are caving in, and no one needs to get to that point. No one does. Like you struggle with your training, you struggle with your, setting up equipment for a podcast. You just
The squares in the background.
Squares are awful. Squares took over a day alone.
Yeah, it's like what's stopping you? Like you guys, we can ask somebody that has a successful podcast. Like, how did you get to that point where you have a successful podcast, right? Like, what did you use in your back? All these different things, but I think a lot of times it's like ego. Like our ego tells us, like, I got this. I don't need to ask for help. People think big of me. What would they think if they found out I was asking for help? And I think a lot of people get stuck in that.
I feel like that's like one of the biggest things that people should talk about more, because I know a lot of people going through life like no one knows what their purpose is or they have it all figured out, and that's just like the way of life. And I
Mm.
feel like a lot of people go through a lot of things. Like everyone has their like couple things that they think about daily, or like a couple things that they like are always on their mind that they just don't like feel good about. But not many people will go about and talk about it or share it with people that are like close to them. And
Yeah.
I feel like that's one of the worst things you can do, because it really starts to like make you feel like you're alone.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah. Definitely does. Well, I got a question for you guys. You like hyped up me and my purpose and all that. Like, what's one thing that you have right now that you have the ability to give to someone else to, like pull them up or help them? Like, is there certain skill or personality trait that you have that it's this like gift that you should give to somebody and you should give it to more people? Anything?
You want to start it off?
Yeah, I've personally realized that, just like you said, I grew up not wanting help from everyone because I've had experiences where I did ask for help and it just didn't turn out well for me. So I just figured, okay, I'm just gonna figure it out by myself.
Mm-hmm.
And that kind of led me into like a isolated period where I'm fine with being alone and not asking for help. And obviously that creates struggle throughout a life. Like you should be able to ask for help because you and us as a society, like we need each other and we can't do everything by ourselves. So, I mean, being like I've only came to this conclusion like last year.
Mm-hmm.
Like I need to ask people for help and I need to be social and I need to interact with people like you. Like you are the inspiration that I'm talking about. Like me talking to you, me asking you for help, it's just that created such a spiral of events that I realized like talking to people and connecting to people and getting life experiences is the ultimate way of not failing because you're learning from other people's experiences, and instead of like creating a long term thing of you, like you yourself, like going through all these situations alone. Like, no, I don't think anyone should be alone. I think we should all sit together around a campfire and share stories.
Roast some marshmallows.
Yeah,
I like
roast some
that.
marshmallows.
Yeah, I like that, man.
I would say overall for me, like what I feel like I give to people is just like wake up every day, just like be happy and like try to like say some jokes and I don't know, just bring some positivity to their life and like just
Yeah.
be there to help people who like help me and want me to succeed and just make it an overall better like vibe, I would say.
Yeah.
Like especially hanging out, like obviously my family is always there for me. They always help me a lot, and I have great friends that I always like that I love, and they're always there for me.
Mhm.
So just like the ability whenever they're down or like something's going with them, like be there for them or help them out when they need to because they help me a lot. Um, Shout
Mhm.
out to my friends Dominic and Cameron and Roman for always helping me move out of a couple houses.
That's,
Shout out.
That's what's
Shout out
up,
to
man.
them. They help out a lot, and I will be repaying them both a lot. So,
I like that.
but yeah, just always being able to help them out back and help other people with hopefully like careers down the road or just any way I can give back to them for helping me and being a positive impact for them. That's
Yeah.
really what I try to get to.
I like that a lot, man. Like being positive, bringing positivity into like all situations. I look at it like I lived in the dark for so long that like I have a responsibility now to bring light to any and all situations. You know, you can walk into a room and see like who's down. You know, you can just tell a lot of times when you meet somebody like, are you okay? You know, I love when
Yeah.
Eric always says like you got to ask somebody how they're doing twice because they reveal how they're really doing on the second time they ask on the second time you ask them. But yeah, I just I don't know. I have my down days, but I think people that know me know like usually I'm pretty like upbeat and positive.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean I definitely have my down days, especially during the winter.
Oh man, shout out seasonal depression. You know,
Yeah, shout out seasonal depression.
we all need some vitamin D.
Yeah. Yeah. So no, this is awesome, man. I appreciate you guys having me on here, and you know, I'm down anytime you wanted to get together again. I'm always down for it, man. I love doing this stuff. So
Yeah, you're always one for conversations. I mean, every time you come up to me, you're smiling, speaking joyfully. And dude, I love the energy you provide. And
Yeah.
dude, even Gage, like, dude, Gage is always smiling. I don't know how you guys do it, to be honest. But
Gage is always smiling. I don't know Gage that well, but like from the I've seen you around, and I think I've seen you on social media, and it's there's a lot to be said about being a guy that's always smiling.
Try my best to always.
it spreads positivity, makes someone else feel good about their day.
Yeah. I
It
mean,
does.
there's always something to be happy about. You just
Yeah.
gotta find it. But you always have people there for you, like these great conversations. Like I'm very happy to have you on, and just like showing up. Like the first one with like both of you guys coming on the first episode, and saying every single time I took a lot of valuable information, and just being able to sit down and have these valuable conversations about like how people got into real estate, how people got into the jobs they have now, the struggles they went through to get to where they are.
Mm.
I feel like it really shows like us and anybody watching that you like just because you're going through something or something bad is happening doesn't mean that it's not like provided in your journey to get you where you want to be.
Mm. Yeah. Everything that happened usually, needed to happen to get to the point that we're at. But yeah, no, it's a great point.
Wise words. No, I find like God itself, like, it's definitely not transactional. Like, people often expect if they keep doing good, then good will receive back to them. But I honestly see that I'm going to try to keep doing good because obviously I'm not perfect, but there will be a lot of bad things that happen in my life because I mean, I have a mom, I have a dad, I have a grandma and grandpa right now. Like, eventually
Yeah.
something bad will happen, and that's just going to build me into a stronger person. And that's just how life goes. So like, just to sit back and realize that there is a path and there's someone there for you that provides me with a certain peace of mind because there is a lot of terrible things happening in this world,
Mm.
and to sit back and think about them can make anyone go crazy. Like the amount of negative things that are happening will turn you into a very cynical person
Yeah.
or pessimistic. But it's always good to be optimistic. You know, go outside, look at a tree, realize that nature's beautiful.
Go outside, look at a tree.
Yeah, and just realize that you have support, you have people that care, even when you don't think there's someone always up in the sky looking at you.
Mm. Yeah.
What's your
Amen.
what's your favorite kind of tree to look at?
Probably like Japanese ones.
Dude, I love Japanese trees.
Yeah.
Bonsais.
They're sick.
I've had two in my life. I love bonsais and Japanese. I have a Japanese maple I planted last year or 2 years ago, and then this is funny. My mom bought me a bonsai. Shout out to my mom. She
Shout out.
bought me my first bonsai, and dude, like I had this thing. I was so proud. And then one night I got real ripped. Like I was drunk and high, and I was like, I'm gonna trim the bonsai.
Dude.
So I get the little like clippers and shit out, and I like start just clipping away. Right? She's gonna laugh at this, and I'm clipping. I wake up the next day to come check on the bonsai. Bro, there was no green left. I like chipped. I clipped all the green off of this bonsai, and it was just like a little twig just sitting there, and then it died. I killed the first bonsai my mom ever got me.
Man.
Yeah.
Well, full circle moment. Hopefully now you're gonna have like a huge one in the back of your home or in front of your home.
Yeah.
Full circle.
I was wondering if you don't have to use this, but I was gonna see if I could. I wrote this poem in 2017. It was like in between my treatments, and I wrote it, and I would love to say it on here.
Of course, that'd be great.
We
Dude.
don't have to use it, but if you want to, that'd be amazing. My mom actually got this framed, and it's like hanging in my bathroom. Let me pull it up here real quick.
No, I appreciate this so much that we're gonna clip it and we're gonna put it in the very beginning of the podcast just for every viewer to see.
She's gonna love it. Everybody's gonna love it. Give me 1 sec.
I know you were such a big tree guy.
Here it is.
I like looking at nature. It's beautiful.
All right. So again, I wrote this in 2017. This is like it should give people a good like kind of understanding of where I was at and really what I was like hoping for all along. So it's called Sherbert Skies. Sherbert Skies. You know, on those days where you look out, it's just like this beautiful like orange and blue and like it's like that. I think they call it like the golden hour when like the sun's just shining perfectly and it's like that perfect orange and blue, right?
Yeah.
It's like I call
Yeah.
that the Sherbert Skies.
I see a lot of people posting on social media a picture of themselves and they're like golden hour.
Yeah, yeah. So this is Sherbert Skies, okay? Written by me. Okay. Oh, please God, let me open my eyes. Let me embrace the beauty of these Sherbert skies. I'm chained and I'm battered. All I know is cries. I try to speak truth, but out comes lies. In a mental prison, behind self-constructed bars, cold and dark, no window, no sunlight, no stars. I wish the pain would end, so I numb myself over and over, again and again. Most days I pray that I won't open my eyes. I guess I'll never witness the beautiful sherbet skies. Others speak of these wondrous things. Why can't I see them? Where do I begin? Each day I wake and I swear to heaven that today I'll change, but I always give in. This endless pattern, this vicious cycle, today will be different. But first, one more high. Tomorrow I'll begin. Oh my God, I did it again. I promised myself this time would end. I'm a slave to these drugs and they own me now. The vicious demons are on the prowl. The sherbet skies I hear are gorgeous, but I hide from sunlight because it's torturous. I hide from love because I can't. I hide from life because I welcome death. Maybe if I took my life, maybe if I would just die, maybe heaven holds sherbet skies. A comfortable place, all I know is pain. I'm a wrecking ball swinging in a hurricane. Please, God, help me. Please hear my cries. Please, God, show me the sherbet skies. I need your help. I need separation. And then one day came desperation, a gift from God, an awakening, a chance at life, a new beginning. I woke one day in pain and agony. I cried out to God. I was brought to my knees. Please, God, break these chains. Let me regain what's mine. The journey came with more pain and cries. Facing fear and self, I began to rise. I was once blind. God opened my eyes, and then one morning came sherbet skies. Today I welcome life, and I face my pain, and day by day my suffering drains. I am a survivor. I'm returning to self, finding that happiness does not lie in wealth. Today I wake and open my eyes. Filled with compassion, I hear your cries. Walk with me, friend. Please just try, and let's both enjoy the sherbet skies. Sherbet skies.
That's beautiful, man. Honestly, I love that.
That's awesome.
That speaks powers. Like anyone, absolutely anyone can listen to that, and they could take wisdom from that. That's a universal experience that everyone should look at, no matter what stage they are in life, or no matter what they're going through. Thank you. Like I promise you, that's gonna be in the clip. That's gonna be on the podcast, man.
Word up.
Shout out, Matt.
Thank you, guys.
Sweet. You want to wrap us up then?
Thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate you for taking your time to come out here on the podcast and speak with us. And that's going to wrap up episode 2 of the 717 Mortgage Group RE podcast. And I hope to see you guys next time.
Thank you
Peace.
for listening.